Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are going microscopic.
Very microscopic.
We're zooming in on two of the absolute smallest words in the English language. I mean, single syllables, sometimes just a single letter.
Right, but without them, our sentences would basically collapse into a robotic telegraphic mess.
Exactly. And I know the moment we say the word grammar, there's this huge temptation to tune out.
Oh yeah, you might be thinking, I know this. Vowels get an, consonants get a. Next topic.
Right. But looking through the source material we have for today, it's a guide titled Rules for Helm, using the indefinite article as it became pretty clear that the whole vowel versus consonant rule is actually a bit of a lie.
Yeah, or at least a massive oversimplification.
It's the lie to children version of the rule. It works most of the time, so we teach it to second graders.
But the reality is that these tiny words are doing some serious heavy lifting in human cognition. They aren't just decoration. They're a logic system.
A logic system that dictates how we introduce reality to other people.
Precisely. The mission here is to move beyond what we learned in school and look at the actual logic behind how we introduce information.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this isn't about passing a quiz. It's about understanding why English speakers are so obsessed with specificity.
Why we feel the need to flag every single noun as either new or known.
Exactly. It's a look into how we specify or choose not to specify the world around us. So let's start with the foundation.
The concept of one of many.
Right. The source material calls this the general meaning. The basic rule is that A and N are used for singular, countable nouns when we're talking about something non-specific.
Non-specific being the critical term there. Let's dig into what that actually does to the listener's brain.
Okay.
When you use an indefinite article, you're sending a coded signal. You're telling the listener, I'm introducing an object, but you don't need to retrieve a specific file from your memory banks.
Relax. It's just a representative of a category.
Right. It's about cognitive load.
Like the example from the source, I saw a dog in the park. Or she bought a book.
Yes. If you say, I saw a dog, you're effectively saying, visualize a generic dog. The specific identity of that dog doesn't matter to you yet.
And think about the alternative. If I said, I saw the dog in the park, your brain instantly goes into search mode.
Right. I'm thinking, which dog? The one we talked about yesterday, the one that bit you.
Exactly. The implies history. A implies we're starting from scratch.
It's a reset button for the noun. By saying she bought a book, you liberate the listener from the burden of context.
It doesn't matter if the book was a thriller or a cookbook. It's just one unit from the massive category of books.
It's like pulling a stock photo out of a library.
Yes. The resolution is low, the details are blurry, and that's intentional.
That's a great way to put it. It's a low-resolution placeholder. And this one of many logic allows us to speak generally without providing a full dossier on every noun we mention.
If we didn't have this, every sentence would need a paragraph of footnotes just to establish what we're looking at.
You would be exhausting.
Now, this idea of low resolution versus high resolution transitions perfectly into the next category in the source material, storytelling.
The narrative arc. The guide calls this first mention.
This is where we see the transition from the unknown to the known, world building in real time.
The rule is pretty straightforward. You use A or N when something is mentioned for the first time.
The source gives a great example for this. I saw a movie yesterday. The movie was very interesting.
Notice the shift there. It happens in the blink of an eye.
You start with a movie, then immediately it becomes the movie.
In that first sentence, I saw a movie, you are bringing a new prop onto the stage.
Mm-hmm.
The listener has no idea what movie it is.
It's totally new information. The indefinite article A acts like an opening door.
Right. It says, heads up, new variable entering the equation.
And once it's on stage, the status changes. It's no longer a generic stock photo. Now it's our movie.
Precisely. That specific instance is established in our shared reality. So when you follow up with the movie was very interesting, the acts like a pointer.
It assumes the listener now knows what is being discussed. It's a contract between the speaker and the listener.
A social contract, yeah. If I walked up to you and just said, the movie was interesting without that first step,
I'd be completely confused. I'd feel like I missed part of the conversation.
you said, what movie? Because I'd be breaking the contract. I'd be referencing a shared reality that we haven't actually built yet.
Using A for the first mention is essentially a courtesy. It ensures we are synchronized before we move on.
So we use A to introduce objects and concepts. But English takes this a step further, doesn't it?
It does. We don't just use it for things. We use it to define who people are.
Categorizing people.
Right. The source material brings up identity and professions, very common social usage, talking about jobs.
This is actually a huge stumbling block for speakers of other languages.
Oh, for sure. Because in many languages, professions are treated more like adjectives.
Yes. But let's look at the source examples. She's a doctor. He's an engineer. My brother is a teacher.
In my head, as an English speaker, that makes perfect sense. But if I strip away the article and say, she is doctor.
It sounds broken.
Yeah, it sounds like doctor is her first name.
Or like you're speaking in shorthand.
Why is that? Why can I say she is happy without an article, but I can't say she is doctor?
It comes down to how English conceptualizes a job. In English, a profession isn't just a quality you have, like happiness. It's a category you belong to.
Like a club.
Exactly. There is a giant imaginary circle in the world labeled doctors. When you identify someone, you're placing them inside that circle.
You're saying she is one member of this professional group?
Hence the one of many rule kicks back in. She is a doctor. English forces you to classify people.
So happy is a fluid state, but doctor is a tangible noun. We treat the person as a singular, countable entity within a professional class.
Correct. You can't just attribute the quality of doctorness to them.
And same with he's an engineer, same logic.
He is one distinct unit of the engineering population. Unless, of course, the group only has one member.
Right, like he is the CEO.
Exactly. If the circle only has one person in it, specificity is automatic. The scene implies uniqueness. But for general jobs, you need that indefinite article.
Okay, so we've established the cognitive logic. A signals newness, generic categories, group membership. But now we have to talk about the physical mechanics.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this is where the vowel versus consonant rule completely falls apart.
The clash between the eye and the ear.
The guide has a section titled A versus An, and it makes very specific points, as the choice depends on the sound, not the letter.
That distinction is everything. We are such a text-obsessed culture. We see a word written down, we look at the first letter, and we assume that dictates the grammar.
But language is first and foremost spoken.
Yes. The rule exists for the mouth, not the eye. It's about ergonomics. The ergonomics of speech.
It evolved because human mouths are lazy, and we want to exert the least amount of effort possible.
Let's test this with the standard examples from the source. A car and an apple. If you try to swap those,
If I say a apple,
do it again. Focus on your throat. A apple.
a apple, there's a catch. I have to physically stop.
That's a glottal stop. You have to close your vocal cords to separate those two vowel sounds. It's choppy. It's a speed bump.
But if I say an apple, the N acts like a bridge. An apple.
Yeah.
Just slides right across.
N is a lubricant.
Yeah.
It exists solely to stop two vowels from crashing into each other. That is the entire purpose of an.
Which brings us to the tricky cases in the source material, the ones that trip people up because of the spelling. The first one is a university.
Look at the spelling of university. It starts with U.
U is a vowel.
Every textbook says an, comes before a vowel. So why don't we say an university?
A university. I mean, I can say it without a glottal stop, but it feels really clunky.
It feels clunky because of the specific sound that U makes there. It's not university, it's university.
It's a Y sound, like yellow.
And in English phonetics, That Y glide acts as a consonant. It restricts the airflow just enough that you don't need the N to bridge the gap.
You can just slide from A to U comfortably, a university.
So even though the letter is a vowel, the sound behaves like a consonant. The mouth wins over the eyes.
Then we have the reverse situation, the core aha moment. The source lists the example, an hour.
Hour, H-O-U-R, starts with H.
H is a consonant. My eyes tell me it should be a hour.
But try saying it. I'll see you an hour.
A hour. I'm back to the hiccup.
Because the H is silent. It's a ghost letter. It's there on the page, but in the air, it doesn't exist.
The word effectively starts with O, R.
So you have a vowel sound. Vowel meets vowel crash. We need the bridge. We need the N. An hour.
The source explicitly warns about this.
Right.
Notice, an hour is correct because the H is silent. It's practically begging you to listen instead of look.
It's a reminder that writing is just a map, but speech is the actual territory. The choice of article is driven by pronunciation flow, not just orthography or spelling.
So a university works because it flows into the Y sound. And an hour works because N flows into the vowel sound. Purely a physical reaction.
It's a system designed to keep you from tripping over your own tongue.
Now, this idea of the article reacting to the sound gets even more interesting when we add descriptions. The source covers this under adjectives.
Right, because we rarely just speak in bare nouns.
The examples the guide gives are a beautiful place, an interesting story, and a big house.
Notice what happens in an interesting story.
The noun is story. Story starts with a consonant. Normally it takes a story.
But we've inserted interesting in between.
And interesting starts with a vowel, so the article changes to an interesting story.
This proves the ergonomics theory. Grammatically, the article belongs to the noun, but phonetically, it is loyal to its immediate neighbor.
It attaches itself to the phrase as a whole, sitting right before the adjective.
It prioritizes local flow over global grammar. It just has to bridge the gap to the very next sound.
There's one last category in the source material. It's called meaning one.
This takes us back to the origins of the word. A and an are historically related to the word one.
Right. The guide covers instances where a or an is literally a substitute for the number one, particularly in measurements or frequency.
The source examples are, I go to the gym twice a week, and this car can drive 200 kilometers an hour.
In those contexts, a week means per single week.
And an hour means per single hour.
It's acting as a mathematical unit.
Exactly. The article strips away the nuances of newness or generic categories and boils down to pure quantity. One.
It really highlights how versatile this little sound is. It can signal a new story starting, classify your job, act as a phonetic bridge, or substitute for a number.
And we switch between these functions unconsciously, hundreds of times a day.
Okay, so let's summarize the journey we've been on. We started with the foundation introducing non-specific things. A dog. It lowers the cognitive load.
Then the social contract of storytelling, using A to put the prop on stage and the to shine the spotlight on it.
We talked about jobs. You aren't just doctorish. You are a unit in a workforce, a doctor.
And then the physical reality, the tricky mechanics of silent letters, the university versus an hour debate.
Using these correctly really helps you distinguish between general concepts and specific instances. It's a key part of clear communication.
It is. They smooth out the friction of reality.
I love that. Well, before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought based on what we discussed about sound.
Okay, lay it on us.
We established that the rule relies entirely on sound, right? An hour, because the H is silent.
Right.
But sounds change, accents change.
Oh, yes. Think about the word herb.
In American English, the H is silent. We say herb. So logically, we say an herb.
But in British English, the H is pronounced herb. So they say a herb.
Exactly. Or take a word like house. In standard English, it's a house. But in some dialects like Cockney, the H is dropped. It becomes out.
So in those dialects, does the grammar change? do they say an ouse?
If the rule is truly about the ergonomics of the mouth, then the article must change to match the accent.
That implies your grammar is actually downstream of your accent. That is a fascinating thing to listen for.
Right, so pay attention to how strictly spoken sound dictates grammar in your own daily listening.
See if you can catch those moments where the official rule bends to accommodate the reality of the sound.
Language is alive, folks. Even the smallest parts of it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you next time.